Hi.
What's happening?
I expected you to start something. This is your show.
Yeah, we're together in this one. Co-host. All right, part. Well, here we are, Tom.
Here we are.
We are back, brother. In my travels, I wanted to tell you thank you for holding this down. And we've got a lot coming up. So we just proved that we are family, and BB3 is variety entertainment with all the new content coming out. So I appreciate you holding BB3 down.
I did my best, man. I may not have contributed a whole lot as far as videos, but I just felt weird being out there by myself. Yeah.
We started together and we run into it. So new content coming to BB3 TV. We got Azrael. We've got perspectives from the parking lot. We also have a good buddy coming in, which I'm going to go to comments because I know they're going to be in there. I'm going to wait.
I forgot to click on that.
I know myself too. But tonight we are back to Real Talk with Dom is actually moving over to BB3 TV. Usually it's on a Monday night at 10 p.m. WLFE-DB, and it will still be. However, the name is just easier to keep. It'll be on Thursday nights, 8:30 on BB3 exclusive Eastern time. And it will be all paranormal based, as of what we have tonight. As we go.
Our show will not be.
Our show will not be. So when we come back, Dom and Tom's World is definitely coming back. We have, of course, with the wrestlers that we have coming on, we have artists. Tomorrow night, we're Real Talk with Dom, or Dom and Tom's World is actually going to be live tomorrow night, but it will be Savage Ladies of Metal. So that will be tomorrow night.
Sans Tom.
Yep.
I'll be on the road.
Indeed. But tonight, we have a former guest of mine, a great guy, paranormal researcher. He was on a Monday night show 4 months ago. Actually, we just found out a few minutes ago. We're trying to figure out how long it's been, because it's been 2 months since I've even been here. But we have a gentleman, Bill Slevin. So I'm going to just read this off. With the paranormal field. He is the founder and lead paranormal investigator of the Paranormal Existence Research Society. So tonight we are going to talk about how he started and what all went on. Yeah, definitely.
Sorry.
But here we go. All right. So without Tom, like I always say, without further ado,
let's bring him on.
Without further ado, Bill Slevin.
Hey guys, how you doing?
My brother,
right, how are you?
All right.
Good seeing you again. It's been 4 months.
I actually thought it was longer.
Yeah, we did think it was longer. And like I said, I'm going to keep your bio here with me. But I remember the first phone call that we had, and why we got along, and why I appreciate you, because you are one person that takes their time in their investigations to do research, and actually, make sure it's not such a, how can I put this, Bill? You're making sure your work is going to be quality.
Yeah.
That you put into these people.
Yeah. I was going to say, there's a lot of people learned from TV shows and a lot of stuff out there. I learned a long time ago, and some people go more on the public side, and I do that a lot, but I went more toward the residential to really help people, because they're going through something, whether it's paranormal or not. It's not always paranormal, but a lot of teams just go in and they just look for paranormal and then they leave. And they don't help them, and we're really there to help them. We really go, and even if we'll spend hours with them, and even if it's not paranormal, we still stay there and find a way to help them.
Right, and that was one of the longer conversations we talked about, and what brought you on the show, because of that. What is the process with the residentials, before we all start going into it? Like, what is the process of actually going into that research and finding your teammates that are trustworthy enough to go to these these houses.
Yeah, that's one of the big things. Everybody on my team is fantastic. Every one of them is handpicked by me. I don't care if you have 30 years experience. I don't care if you have 3 days experience. The experience can be learned. It's more about their attitude, their passion of what they're doing, and their compassion, because I'm going to bring them into people's homes that are scared and experiencing a lot of stuff. And I need them to be compassionate with these people. One of my teammates, Daniela, she's usually the first person that talks to them. I pass her, the calls, and she talks to them at first to find out a little bit. She'll spend hours on the phone with these people, just finding out everything they're going through, just listening. Because a lot of times we're the first people that actually listen to them and don't think they're crazy. So you need to develop that, like, kind of trust with them, Again, everybody on my team has a very unique role on the team. Some people have been there, doing this longer. Some have some abilities like me as an empath. Sarah on my team, she was great. I bring her into houses and she could sense stuff. I won't tell her a lot of times what we know about the case, and let her walk through and see what she feels and see where she feels it. And I know I talked a little bit about this before, but I don't think it was ever official. I have a new team member of mine. I've known this guy for years. He's an unbelievable addition, because he was he's been doing this for probably longer than me, actually. But he was a violent haunting survivor when he was young. He's been on about every TV show out there. He used to work with the Warrens. And he was friends with George Lutz from the Amityville house. His name is Tim Yancey. And he works with a lot of teams. They did a whole show on him, a haunting about him and his brother. It was called, Shadow Boy or something like that. And his approach to dealing with people and kind of counseling them is really amazing. And I was just happy to have him working with us.
Yeah, wow.
His name is.
Brought that up. Yeah.
His name is definitely familiar to me. I know I've heard that somewhere.
He's been on a lot of stuff. He worked with a lot of teams. He knows just about everybody out there. And but like I said, I really like the way he works. He's not just about, hey, let's go in and try to find a ghost. And he hates really most of the equipment. He has fun with it out there, but again, not for residentials.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing too. Talking about the equipment, you got to find the members that, like the skeptics, like Kenny Biddle. We'll get into him in a bit too, because I want to say something very, very good about Kenny Biddle, what I learned about, conventions as we go into it. But the people who like the equipment or their style of investigating, I mean, that's highly important.
Right.
We
got our first comment.
Off the cuff. You can find him on BB3 TV and WLFE-DB. All right, so Bill, let's start knocking this down.
Yeah.
Starting this, you are the founder of the Paranormal Existence Research Society. We're just going to go break this down right from the start. What brought you into this from a kid, and what made you start this organization?
Well, I was always into this. Besides, horror and everything that people are into, I was always into this when I was a little kid. I had my own experiences when I was young, but it didn't scare me like a lot of kids. I was more drawn to it to find out, is it real? What is it about? What am I seeing? Why am I seeing it? More like that than running away from the haunted house down the block. I'm trying to get in the haunted house and just learn a little more. And, over the years of trying to, back then it was different. You didn't have TV shows. You didn't have everything out in the mainstream. If, like I said before, if for people to even contact somebody back then, there was one of two things. Either they were trying to get a little bit of fame, even though you didn't have TV shows, or they were truly scared, and most of them were scared to even contact anybody because they would think you would throw them in the mental institution. And, people like us, they thought we were just as crazy as them, even though some of them still do. You know, you were talking about skeptics. I have one of my teammates, Jordan. He's one of my oldest friends. He does a lot of our video stuff. He doesn't really go on in investigations, but he's a big time skeptic. And we will argue back and forth with him all the time. But it's good because he throws stuff at me sometimes maybe I didn't notice, you know. But you know, growing up, it's I kind of my family, I didn't tell them a lot about it because I think they thought I was a little crazy, you know. I didn't start doing residentials until about it was right out of high school, about 1990. And honestly, the first residential I went on was a demonic case, which is extremely rare, but it's something that made me, I think, pushed me into the passion of helping people. Like I took it more from just having fun and doing some research to really wanting to go and help people. And, you know, I bounced from team to team. I was more like a freelancer. I would hop on people's things and help them out and go here and learn a lot. I learned a lot from a lot of different people, some good, some bad, you know, and I kind of took each piece and kind of built my own way of doing it. What I think is the best way, you know.
Right.
And it's kind of, you know, like I said, even teams I worked with that were, you know, horrible in what they did, you know, it maybe was their passion and whatever, but I didn't agree with it, but I learned from them, you know, something.
Well, yeah, you know, with that, bringing that up, learning things with these other teams, was there one thing? All right, so there's going to be this is a two-part question. What's the one thing that disgusted you about what other teams do?
Well, again, I go back to the thing of helping people. When you're going to a person's home, you're there to help them. They're scared. You know, a lot of these teams go in and they're just looking for a ghost. They want to be the person to capture a ghost. They don't care really if the person is having issues or not. Not all of them, just some of the people, you know, and you see the way they don't care for the people. They don't gain their trust. They don't really want to help them. They go in and oh no, there's nothing here, and they just leave them. You know, and the people, and the people now don't know who to contact because the people they trusted don't really seem to show any care for them, you know. Or they go in being, you have to be a skeptic. You have to. I'm a skeptic, and I've seen the craziest stuff you could imagine. You have to be part skeptic. If you go, and that's what I teach my team. I said, when you go into a home, you got to think right away, there's nothing in there before you go in. If you listen to what they say and you go in thinking, oh my God, these people have a demon in the house or something's crazy, you're going to go in there when your mind's already going to be pushed one way, and it's going to be hard to notice those little things that will help you, you know, figure out what it is.
Yeah, don't automatically go all Zach Baggins on them.
Exactly.
Now, how did you train yourself to understand the situations? I mean, this had to take some time.
Years. And I think it was just more working with different people. I watched what they did, and I sat back in a lot of my investigations that when I was, you know, working with people, I kind of watched them. I got involved when I felt like it, but I kind of watched just what everybody was doing, and I kind of judged by what they were doing and how the people were reacting to it. You know, how they felt when we were done or when we left there or what was going on. You know, you could see the difference in the people's faces and just the, you know, if they got nothing out of this or they now feel good, you know.
Right. Was there ever a situation that you couldn't tell if the person had a mental issue or if there was truly a haunting there?
Yeah, it is, you know, it is a very, very tough situation sometimes. And like I've said before, I know we didn't say it tonight, during the day, I'm an IT director for a psychiatric drug and alcohol treatment facility. So I do have a little background on all sides of this. So you know, obviously I am not a doctor. I am nothing like that, but I see patients all day long. Even though I'm IT, I do, you know, interact with them a lot, and I see what goes on, and I've been there for over 8 years. So it actually has helped me a lot trying to, you know, decipher the difference between the two. One of the biggest things that you'll notice is when somebody has, say they're schizophrenic or they have something, you know, something more on the psychiatric side, they're the only people that will experience it. The people in the house are not going to experience it unless they are so Like, if you had, like, say, a young kid and a mother, and they were the only two that lived there, she may fall kind of prey to it also, because she's just watching him deal with it, and then she may believe she's actually hearing stuff. So that's what I'm saying. It is kind of difficult sometimes, but that's one of the main things. First off, is to just watch what they're talking about. A lot of time, again, from experience, from 30 years, you start to learn the differences of what a person who has some kind of ghost or haunting or even a demon, you kind of learn a little bit of what the true things are, as opposed to somebody who maybe is just hearing voices in their head, or
Right.
they're paranoid. It happens, but there is a little bit of a difference. It just takes a lot of experience and exposure to it, to kind of.
Yeah, and that's like, I would believe that's 100% trial and error. Now, with the second part of my question from earlier, what's the biggest mistake that you've made in this field?
That I made, or somebody can make?
That you made, that that you completely learned from?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I would say, well, I mean, for me at the beginning, it was more trusting some of the people that told me this is how they were, and then getting involved in a case and feeling helpless because they weren't doing anything right, and I couldn't really do anything about it.
Sure.
There were some people that I actually went back and contacted afterwards on my own and tried to help them more. I don't like to overstep. I don't really like to talk bad about people. Like I said, everybody I learn from, good or bad.
Sure. Sure.
But I mean, luckily, I haven't done anything that bad that I really regret. um, it's, I get emotionally attached with these people too. And it's tough when the hardest thing to deal with, honestly, in my opinion, is not even the ghosts, spirits, the demons. The hardest thing to deal with is when you get somebody where it's not paranormal and they won't accept it.
Right.
It is the hardest thing to deal with, because it doesn't matter what you tell them. We have cases that, I can't, a lot of residential stuff, obviously, I can't talk about. It's confidential. But
Sure.
there are people that we've dealt with and gone back multiple times and cleansed the house and did everything we could, and they just cannot accept it. And sometimes they'll get nasty with us. Even when we're not charging, we're going there multiple times out of our way, our own time, our own stuff. And you feel bad because they are going through something, and there's nothing I could do about it.
Yeah. At that point, and this is a little bit personal into that, I know you can't talk about a lot of it.
Yeah.
With that point, after you go into an investigation, is it necessary to contact family members of that person to maybe help them, or are you just kind of like dead in the water from there?
Well, you mean like an investigation? I went in and nobody did anything.
Right, and then the person was just mentally ill.
Yeah, it's kind of tough, because you've got to be very careful on what you discuss with these people, because if they're mentally ill and they don't want to accept it, they're going to get really pissed with you.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, legally, I'm not allowed to tell anybody you should go see a psychiatrist, because I don't have the medical background to tell them that.
Right.
We will talk to them and get very personal with them and find out if they have any psychiatric problems, any medications and stuff. I've even brought, without giving the people's names, I brought the medications to the psychiatrist that owns our place and said, hey, listen, a person I'm dealing with is on this medication, this medication, this medication. Would it cause these type of hallucinations? Would it cause this? Because it's something I don't know about,
Right. Okay.
But we can tell them, in our professional opinion, there is nothing in here paranormal. You should look into other avenues. And if they're willing to talk to us about it, we will give them more help. But you can't push them on it too much, unfortunately. And like I said, with Tim's very big on teaching them how to deal with them themselves, like how to cleanse their own place, how to be very involved in that, and how to work with possible other issues that you're dealing with that may be creating some of this or feeding it.
Right. All right. Well, stepping aside from the mental illness part, let's talk about the actual paranormal events that you've had, that you've caught. Let's talk about some of these hauntings. Bob,
Yeah, I mean,
Bob's in here real quick. Sorry to cut you off. Bob, good to see you on there again.
With the hauntings, when we go in, like I said, I've done over 500, I think, and the times that it's mostly because, again, we don't go in and we don't do these TV, full-blown 5-hour overnight investigations unless we feel it's necessary. Most of the time it is not necessary. That's only if you have something in there that you cannot get rid of and you want to try to find out more about who it is, what they're doing there, to try to kind of direct it personally. Most of the time it's really not important. Just get it out, because in the long run, if you do a 5-hour investigation and go through that and spend 2 months going through the evidence and the stuff, you're going to come back and guess what? You're going to cleanse the house probably the same way you would have that day.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of it comes back to the same thing. But when I go in, a lot of times we will do the walkthrough at first and just see what we feel. Me, Sarah, some of my other teammates, but me and Sarah are the ones I know of the most that have the ability to sense it. So we'll go through and see a lot of, what we can feel. If we determine it is something, most of the time it's residual hauntings. It's things that are very basic. They're hearing voices, a door closed. There's a lot of things, of course, that can be, debunked and there's a lot of reasons for them. Yeah. But if we feel there is something in there, most of the time it's nothing dangerous. That's what a lot of people don't understand, because they watch, the TV shows and they think everything is, dangerous, and it's not. Sometimes, everybody believes something different. I believe that the ghosts are here either because they haven't realized they're dead, they're afraid to move on, they're stuck here for some reason, that they have something unfinished, or they don't want to leave, they don't understand. I think it's more on that side of it, which is why most of the time they're kind of just letting you know they're there.
Right.
It's not really dangerous, but people are, either way, people are scared. You got doors closing in your house and you can't explain it, and you got kids and whatever, you're going to be scared. You're not going to say, oh, well, they're not going to bother me.
So before we move forward, Tom Springer just came up. He says, "What's up, brother? Welcome back. Bill is full of knowledge. That's what he's soaking in, and it's awesome." So Tom Springer is the newest host of BB3 TV, and he will be arriving in December.
And he has a really super cool first name too.
So, Tom Springer, welcome aboard. As I said to you on the phone, and this is somebody that you would want to get in contact with, Bill, in the future too, because this is one big paranormal family. So Tom Springer, thank you for being here. All right, so 500 investigations. There's got to be one that stands out.
There's a few. Of course, I would say in about 500, I always say there was, I would believe, about 10 that were considered demonic, 5 that definitely, and 5 that I would believe were. Those are obviously the ones that stick out. There are some regular hauntings that we cleansed the house and got everything out, and they stick in my head just because of the joy of, like, kids that were scared to death, little kids, and then seeing them happy and just relieved that they could go to sleep at night. Those things stick out to me, honestly, more than a ghost running through the house.
Right.
But the demonic ones, I mean, you can't ever forget those. There's a lot of stuff that I tell people, you can't understand it. Even if I say it, I don't even expect anybody to believe it unless they witness it. A lot of the stuff you see on TV and the movies, a lot of it is a little over dramatic and
Of course,
but,
it's TV.
but yeah, but there is some stuff in there that does happen, and
Mhm.
it's hard for people to understand that until you see it.
Right.
I think I talked about it last time. The first residential I ever did was the one that sticks out the most in my head because I was just called in by somebody I knew, said, "Hey, there's a team I know, these guys that they're going to do an investigation, and one of their guys is sick. They need an extra guy." So they said, "You want to go?" I said, "Yeah, I'll go." I never did a residential at that time, so I was kind of excited. Most people wouldn't take me on board because I had never done them. So there was three of us, and again, this was back in I think it was like 90 or 91, and it was different back then. You had audio recorders and video recorders. That's really about it. And they had
Right.
big, shoulder mounted cameras, thousands of dollars
Right.
big cameras. And, you didn't have these little things. And I was carrying a big sound box and the two guys had the cameras. And all I knew is that this lady, I think she lived alone and she was experiencing stuff. And they said that they believed it was more like a poltergeist because they said things, she was saying things flew around the house and all that. So I was excited to go to this, So all I know is that I met them outside. We talked for a few minutes. We walked in. They had been there a couple minutes before me, kind of just turning everything off. And we walked in together, all three of us. Went into the front room when you walk through the door, like the entranceway. And immediately all three of us ran out. We were nauseous, almost throwing up. Now,
Wow.
again, I start to think in my head because I go scientific. I try to think, okay, is there carbon monoxide? Is there, massive EMF, energy coming through? There's a lot of things that can cause that, but it was just odd. And I don't get nauseous. It's very rare. So it kind of shook me a little bit. So we kind of gathered ourselves, went back in, and we walked through the front room into the living room. And we were about to get set up. They had the cameras on, but we were about to get set up. And the one member on the right, he freaked out, screamed so loud, threw his camera lens down to the floor. I mean, it wasn't even hesitation. And we just threw everything, every lights went on, not like TV lights went on, and he was going crazy and he was pulling at the back of his shirt and he pulled his shirt off and he had 3 razor scratch marks from his neck down to his spine.
The 3, and that's the Trinity. That's the thing.
And that's the thing. I did not know about that at the time. I just saw this, and I'll be honest with you. If it was nowadays, I would question the motive behind it because everybody wants to get famous. But back then, there was nothing. They didn't talk about this. They didn't tell anybody. They were freaked out, And later on, in years ago, I learned when doing a lot of research on demonology and everything, I learned about the Trinity and about the 3. Everything, 3 knocks, 3 scratches. And one of the things I did not know about was they said when a demon attacks, most of the time it will be razor-like scratches. It will not be like, you get a lot of people, I woke up and I have scratch marks on me, maybe they did it in their sleep, but it's a wide mark like a scratch. These are like razors. And I didn't know that at the time, So that one kind of stands out. I mean, we left there and I was kind of glad at the time because it wasn't, it was a little over my head. But I don't know everything that happened afterwards. I do know that they went and they got the clergy involved in this one. And they did. Yeah.
Not to cut you off, but just before I forget, how the person who got the 3 marks, did that change their life? Did that change the way they thought of things and their point of view, and maybe religious wise, even what did it do to them?
Well, I didn't talk to them because I didn't know them well. I didn't talk to them that much after. I had been in touch with them a couple times after that, and I will tell you this: he never went back to doing this.
Wow.
He stayed with the team, as far as I know, but he was a researcher and wouldn't go in the houses anymore.
Wow.
And it was never publicized. I mean, if something like that was publicized, I mean, we all would have heard of that. You know what I mean? And they weren't looking for fame. They weren't looking for anything. That guy was scared.
You know what a good ghost hunting show would be? And this is off topic again, is actually filming the film crew doing it who doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Getting their reactions would be friggin' amazing. Watch, that'll be still next week.
Yeah, exactly.
But all right, so speaking of TV too,
Yeah,
you have your share in podcasts and also working with investigations, also on networks as well. So if you want to go into, I know you can't talk about much of it, but just go into small detail.
well, yeah, well,
Yeah,
Ghost Asylum. Yeah,
I want to
um,
put this up too. While you talk about this, I want to put your brand up with the banners.
sure.
This is how to find you.
Yeah,
Right across the bottom. So as we're talking about this is how to get a hold of Bill Slevin. And I got another banner to put up a little later, but right now we're going to keep this on the bottom screen rolling across.
all right.
Bill, go into it, brother.
When I got contacted with the episode I was on of Ghost Asylum, what happened was years ago. I was up in St. Augustine. I was just up there for fun. You know, I wasn't up there investigating, but I went on a private investigation. I got in touch with somebody that I knew, and they got special permission to go onto the property of the fort at night, the Castillo de San Marcos fort.
Yes.
So we went up there, and it was just four of us. You know, it was four people and the tour guide that got us access. And we weren't really there, honestly, investigating. We didn't have really any equipment and stuff with us. We were just taking pictures and going around and hearing the stories, and just having fun with it, kind of. And like most people, you don't see what you capture. Months later, you're going through pictures, and you're like, "What the hell is that on there?" I don't remember that. And it's exactly what it was. I captured a picture of, looks like a person, but I can tell you there was nobody else there. And when I do the presentations at the conventions and stuff, I use this and I explain to them why I believe nobody was there. And I tried so hard to debunk this picture, because I said it's got to be something, because it looks like somebody just sitting on the wall. But if there was somebody there, they would have either walked right past us or they had to jump in the water. There was no other way around it. I would have noticed them, even though I didn't notice it in the picture. And it was only a one photo, and I had multiple photos for the same area.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was a cool photo, and I put it up on one of my websites, and I had it up there for a little bit. And Ghost Asylum saw it, and they contacted me because they were doing an episode up at the fort, and they had me come up and they filmed me talking about it. But what's funny is they didn't really air anything about the photo and cut that out, but they had me talking about the other experiences up at the fort that I had.
Right.
So that was just a little thing, but I was recently filmed for a documentary. Again, yeah, I can't talk much about it until it gets aired. It should be for Discovery, and it will be hopefully airing later on, probably the beginning of the year, maybe January, February.
Right.
And back then, after that, then I could talk about it more.
Yeah, we'll have you back on, or like I said, you are a person I feel loyal to, and loyalty is within you as far as being such a solid individual. And I said I want you to be a part of BB3 TV, so maybe you just host your own show on that one, just to throw that out to the world.
Yeah.
Just speaking of conventions, as you had just brought that up.
Yeah, we try to travel around as much as we can. We get invited as a guest to a lot of shows. Sometimes we're just doing a panel. Sometimes we're a guest. We just did in August. We did MegaCon in Orlando. We just did a panel there, but it was pretty fun. I mean, a lot of people. COVID kind of knocked a lot of things out the last couple of years, and it's kind of made a lot of people hesitate to go to things. But that place was crazy. I mean, it has still had a huge crowd, and we were the only, I think, paranormal, people there. So we packed the room with like 260 people. There's another like 100 people waiting to get in. They're a good crowd. We go in and we try to, depending on what we're doing, we try to talk. If we could do multiple panels, we'll split them up. I'll talk one about public investigating, one about residential. We might do a question and answer, different things. The most recent one we did was a newer horror convention. It was a second year. It's called Phantasm in Orlando. It was October 1st to the 3rd. They're a horror and haunt convention. This place was so much fun. If anybody is into horror and haunt and paranormal, this convention, we're not sure what the dates are going to be next year, probably around the same time. It's a really great convention because it's honestly probably like nothing you've ever seen. You have the normal vendor room with vendors, and they have a lot of celebrity guests. They had a lot of people. They had like 4 people from the Halloween series. Almost the entire whole cast of the original Halloween was there.
Wow.
They had a lot of good, they had a lot of good people, and they did a lot of things I've never seen at a horror convention. They actually had one of the ballrooms. They built an entire walk-through haunted house, like a Horror Nights house.
Wow.
It was a professional company that did it. They built an escape room. They had most conventions end about 6, 7 o'clock. This thing went on until 2 in the morning every night. They had shows at night. They had a film festival. They had, a lot of good stuff, to go and see while you're there, not just, getting an autograph from somebody. They hooked me up really good. They put us up by the panel rooms, and we had an entire area. I had all my equipment there. We did 4 panels over the weekend. It was a lot of fun. And the thing was, after talking with the owners and everything, they asked me, and I am now part of the convention. So next year I will be kind of heading up.
What happened here? Hold on.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I have no
There you
idea
go.
what that was. Nothing was touched. I wonder, because, all right, sorry, guys. I have a touch screen. I wonder if something touched my screen. So I have no idea. Anyway,
Yeah.
Bill, go back to that. Wow.
All right. So I was saying that now I'm part of the convention where I'm going to be kind of heading up the paranormal side of the convention. So now it's going to be a horror, haunt, and paranormal convention. So I'm going to kind of be in charge of getting the people in, and anything to do with paranormal is kind of going to be on me.
See, Hugh says that right now. Actually, we have buddies that actually do this, like Chaos and James and all them. Matter of fact, all Scurry Face, really, all our buddies. So yeah, I'm sure it's been pretty rough.
Yeah, it's especially like over the summer, with COVID, with everything spiking and stuff like that, people were afraid to go.
Yep.
Everybody wanted to get out, but people were afraid. So it was a little tough, but that's a fun convention. It's just so different. You're not gonna. Most conventions aren't until 2 in the morning, and they had a Rocky Horror show. They had all kind of stuff going on.
I
now,
love
I've
that
seen
movie.
conventions recently that it turned my stomach, opened my eyes, and made me respect the people that actually put the work into it. Right. So I'm just gonna put the bad stuff out from the start. Q Twilight. I know. My bad. I have no.
I was
idea
hearing it in my
what
head when I read it. I was automatically hearing it in my head.
But before I go into that, has COVID limited access to haunted sites?
Yeah.
Bill, that's a question for you, and I'll answer it too from my end, knowing what I do as well. So let's answer Jason right now.
Yeah. A lot of places, like even to go and investigate, any place, it's been real tough. They didn't let a lot of people in, even doing residentials. We were kind of handcuffed at the beginning. We didn't want to go over to anybody's house at first, but with actual sites, they're not letting anybody in. Even some of the smaller conventions and the things we do, you could get local places that go in and do investigations in their building, in their museum, and they're not letting a lot of people in. Now I think they'll start opening up a little more. Obviously the abandoned places you go in doesn't matter.
And see, Tom Springer saying not for our time, 8 places this year. I haven't had a problem with it that much either, because
It depends on the place.
I've done 8, but yeah, it just depends on the place. And I that's a tough question to ask, because if a resident, I believe in, that really needs help, I don't think there's procedures that we could do as far as mask up and show that we are vaccinated or whatever, that we can actually protocols before we go into a house. I mean, it's our research, so it's a tough one to ask. But no, I don't.
Yeah, I was a little extra cautious myself, just because I do work in a facility that has patients and everything. So we're very strict there. So I also didn't want to, risk something like that. Getting back this summer, going to the conventions was a little, finally a little better out there. But at first it was a little different. Depends on the place. Totally depends on the places.
To get to those conventions, and I want your opinions on this. So, like I said, I'm going to get to the bad first. I've seen a lot of people there that strictly there to sell merchandise while not showing any evidence or any passion in what they do.
Yeah.
The money makers, again, at a convention. And then I've seen the ones that show evidence, have merchandise, and then they show what they have. They're more passionate about showing what they have. And then here's where I learned about conventions when I start one, and I'd love to do one. Kenny Biddle, as I brought this up in the beginning. Kenny Biddle was one of the most professional people I've ever seen in my life as far as being at conventions. He has this really crazy, cheesy booth set up, the Skeptical Help Bar. He's a skeptic, as you know, as all need, like dolls and everything I bought from him. He has everything there, but he'll speak to you, and you cannot take his attention away, because once he's engaged in that conversation, he means what he says, and he will speak to you with truth.
Right.
I learned so much from Kenny Biddle being at these conventions, the couple I've been at, that I have so much respect for that man. And he's a skeptic, and he's well versed in the paranormal world. But knowing what to do at these things, because he sells gear, but not there. You got to go to the websites. He was there legitimately to push his ideas forward, and I truly, I've never seen anything like it. So Kenny Biddle, Tom, what is that? The Skeptical Help Hour on a Friday night, right?
Yep, Friday nights, 9 o'clock, I believe he comes on. But to give you a little bit more of a visual of his cheesy setup that he was talking about, you think about on Charlie Brown, when Lucy would have the psychiatrist thing made out of like wood, and it said the psychiatrist is in. Yeah. It's the exact same thing, only it says the skeptic is in.
Yeah, and
with conventions, you get a lot of different people. There are people that are just vendors. There are people who are just vendors. But when it comes to a team or somebody that's there to speak about paranormal, yeah, you're right. There are some that may just come out there and throw 8 tons of merchandise out there. When I go, I have an entire 6-foot table that's just filled with my equipment to show people. And then I have a small table where, like at this last one at Phantasm, I did bring a few things. They weren't like anything. They were like, we put together protection kits and things like that. And it's pure donations to the team. Mm-hmm. So, a lot of teams will sell their merchandise because they're nonprofits. We're a nonprofit, so we will sell a few things here and there for some donations for the team if they have it, but that's not the focus. The focus I have is all of our equipment and what we're talking about. And we'll stand there and talk to them for hours. We came out of the panels, and people follow us out, and we're there for 2 more hours talking to them at the tables. That's more what it's about. We're there to educate them.
And you see, the ones that, if you do that's the ones I've noticed. And the ones that I've seen do what they do, I've forgotten about. But I will never forget to know what to do in the future as far as pushing my investigations forward. And with, we'll talk about it later, when I created the Boo Hunters, my teams are very small, like you do. It's a stupid name, a stupid logo with Boo on the corner there. I mean, T-shirts will sell, but that's not what we're about. You know what I mean? We're about really pushing it forward. Jason has a question, but we're gonna first go to
Hugh.
I want to say Hugh Neger, right? Hugh Neger. Mm-hmm. Have you ever dealt with possessions?
Yes, dealt with, sort of. I've been on a few investigations where there was a demonic possession. I don't handle a possession myself. I can kind of use something to kind of call them out to try to see if it is a demon. When it gets to actual possessions, we have to get somebody involved that's like a clergy member. I've been there when they actually exorcised a house, not a person. But I've like I said, I've been involved in 5 definite possession cases, possibly 10, but I never had to handle a possession myself. It's a little bit above me. I know a lot about it. I'm an expert in demonology, but I wouldn't even attempt to do it myself. I can try to bind the house and get them out, but I'm also risking a lot, and I've done it before. But
Now, binding a house, isn't that a little bit using witchcraft?
no, it's a little different. You're using more religious provocation. You're using holy water. You're using crosses, things like that,
Okay.
because a spirit isn't really going to react to that. A demon will. If you call out a demon using a religious artifacts, they will respond to it. They can't kind of hold themselves back. Where a
Like
ghost doesn't.
trigger objects in general, right? Okay.
Right. So there's a way to bind like a room or a house where you're using holy water in all 4 corners and forcing them out. If they haven't gotten to the possession stage where they're just in like the infestation or the oppression stage, you can get them out a lot of times. It's once they're in a possession stage that you definitely need more help to get through that. You could hurt yourself.
It's interesting. I've been in house with brick dust and stuff over the windows, over the doors, and I had to figure out what was going on there. And I knew what it was, but I had to figure out if it was the people trying to keep whatever was in the house. We'll get to that later. Let's get to Jason. What's in a personal protection kit?
Okay.
We got a lot of questions coming in right now too, which is good. So let's hit Jason real quick.
So usually in a personal protection kit that we put out there, it usually has a piece of sage, a piece of Palo Santo wood, and then either protection crystals or sometimes a protection bracelet, similar to something I have on, like one of these. Sometimes we have a protection spray that's made up of certain things that you spray around the house, and it's made for protection. That's usually everything that's in a kit.
And to add to that, like with I want to say her name would be what? V?
That's my wife.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's my wife.
Hi. Your husband is one amazing person.
She is. She has her own business where she does makes candles with crystals in them, and she taught me a lot about energy and everything. So she knows a lot about crystals and cleansing and things like that. She doesn't do anything with the paranormal. She does not get involved in it. She doesn't. She supports me. She don't really like it, but she supports me.
We have Willow. She's the Witchwood Herbal Shop. She does all of our candles and stuff. But by all means, V, send us a logo, your website, and we'll be happy to push your business with BB3 TV. I mean, that's family right there. All right, so let's go to Patricia. Patricia was a guest of mine. She had an amazing story, and I'm going to get her back on. However, though, she has a question. How can you tell the difference between sleep paralysis and actually being held down by a spirit? Now, this is a big subject I bring up often with sleep paralysis. We may have gotten into this, Bill, with the last talk. And Tom, I want to hear your thought about this too. But what's your thought about this, Bill?
Well, again, in my experience, I think the main difference is that if you're being held down by a spirit, you're going to have some sort of bruises or marks or something on you, to where sleep paralysis isn't really going to give that to you unless you're doing it to yourself. In my opinion, that's the main thing. It is hard to tell. It kind of depends on when they're telling the story of what happened. It's kind of trying to decipher, were they fully awake? Were they partially awake? Because there's a difference. I mean, if they're being held down by a spirit, they're most likely fully awake at that point. It's going to be a little bit of a different experience in sleep paralysis, where you are awake, but you're asleep kind of, and you can't move. You're not really, when you're doing sleep paralysis, a lot of times you don't feel like you're being held down. You just feel like you can't move. And again, in my experiences with people.
Now, I'm going to read that question. Patricia, keep commenting in there about this subject, because this is one subject that just interests me. Now, sleep paralysis, there's the medical side of it, and then there's that the spiritual side of it. I think there's something more to it. I think it's a lot more than medical. I think that somehow we are being attacked somehow. And this is just me because I have sleep paralysis.
Right.
And it's one of those things where, you know how people say they see a dark shadow or something in the room walking around with sleep paralysis. I've never personally seen that. I only feel like I'm being mentally attacked by something, and it's triggering something. Now, the dreams with the sleep paralysis will be also bad with it. So I think it's doing something more. Now, maybe I have medical issues now, not knowing, but I think there's something more. Tom, how do you feel about sleep paralysis?
Well, I mean, I kind of have experienced it, not like to any big extent, only for like a split second when I first wake up, and it's usually from a bad dream when I'm trying to wake myself up from. And then in that second when I wake up, I can't move for a second, but then I do, and I actually physically sit up to prove to myself that I can move. And I don't know if that's part of the dream, just kind of leaking out, or if it was just something triggered mentally that was making me not be able to move for that split second. But it did kind of feel like I was being forced down, like, forced to not move in a way. But I never had any marks or anything from that. And of the people I know that have had major sleep paralysis, I don't think any of them ever had marks on them. So it could just be the clinical sleep paralysis as opposed to the spiritual being held down.
Now, Patricia had said this. She goes, I had an experience that was not paralysis, and I have had paralysis. And then Jason comes back. Matter of fact, Jason, put the link for your show up, too. He's actually another host from another network, but good guy. I've been held down by a spirit, I believe demonic, and I felt the presence of overwhelming evil. And then Patricia writes in there, same here. Bob, we'll get to that in 1 second. Let's see, because we're on the. Let's see if this is a protective crystals, especially you keep shadow people at bay if they are ones causing. Oh, there we are. So yeah, why wouldn't salt and other protective items, crystals, etc., keep shadow people at bay if they are the ones causing sleep paralysis? So we'll get to that. Craig Knapp's in here. That's part of the Grave Guys. We'll get to that in a minute. TikTok, Grave Guys, Grave_Guys. We'll get to that in seconds. So there's a lot going on here with sleep paralysis. So let's dive into this.
Well, let me give you a little example too. I may have talked about this the last time too. Also with sleep paralysis, it goes back to what we were talking about before about mental and how to tell the difference. If the person is having sleep paralysis, if there's anybody else in the house, in the room, they're not going to notice anything. If they're being held down by a spirit, they're going to see it. It's a struggle. Different. It's a totally different thing. And one of the ways I could explain this is at the beginning of COVID, we got a contact from a lady over close to where I live that was saying for 40 years, I think it was 30 or 40 years, this lady has been attacked in her sleep. She wasn't sure if it was sleep paralysis, if it was demons. She said she used to practice Santeria, which doesn't help. And she said she can't sleep at night. She'll take her kids and bring them into bed with her so that she feels safe, but they never see anything. So we kind of broke protocol with the COVID at the very beginning because she was really desperate. And me and one of my team members went over to help her. And we gave her some special prayers that we had that are good for sleep paralysis and also like kind of nighttime attacks. And we cleansed her, and she still had the books on Santeria. I told them to get rid of them, but we cleansed the books, we cleansed everything. And I haven't talked to her lately, but even a year after, we were still talking to her, and she said since the day we were there, she never had one more problem, and she's been having this for 40 years. So was it sleep paralysis and what we did kind of cleansed anything that was there? And I don't know, but nobody else in the house, the kids, she felt the most comfortable bringing her kids into bed with her, but they never saw anything. And she swears that she was attacked, but they never saw anything. So I would say more on the sleep paralysis side of that. Does that mean it's nothing spiritual? No. I mean, it could be. It's just not something you're going to see. Like a actual spirit in the house causing a problem, or a demon in the house causing a problem.
Now, I have a request from a grave guy. The other half of the grave guy is here in a moment. However, though, before I get into that, this is where we're going to talk about possessions too, and possible possessions and about the house. But before into that, there's going to be a question. But I told Jason to tell to give us his website, the Bipolar DM. I believe. I'm sorry if you're not still on there. I think you are WLFE-DB. I believe he's a host at, like I am on a Monday or whatever. But Jason has a great show. What a great guy. And thank you for tuning in, my brother. Definitely check him out. And there's the website right there. I'll keep it up for a moment. But we are going to go to Michelle Fleming. I'm sorry if I pronounced your last name wrong, but I definitely tried. What do you know about I don't even know how to say that, actually. Hypnagogic hallucinations. I feel that hypnagogic. I couldn't even answer this because I don't even know what that word is. I feel that I've experienced that on several occasions. So,
I have to say myself, I'm not sure of that word.
Tom, can you Google that real quick?
I just did. Just did. It says relating to the state immediately before falling asleep.
Oh, yes, okay. Yes.
All right.
I know. There's another word for it too. Oh God, I forget the name of it. But yeah, it's another word for it too.
Awesome.
It is very similar to sleep paralysis in a way. It's where you're kind of between. You want to say between worlds. You're not fully awake. Yeah, you're not fully asleep. And some people do experience a similar type of like sleep paralysis in there. They can see demons or spirits or things, and that it's not so much like a sleep paralysis where they can't move. You're just kind of in between being asleep and being awake. And there's a lot of, controversy between it on what it is,
I've been able to meditate in that state as going into not just a sleep paralysis, but the dream journey. What the hell is it even called now? I can't even think about it. She had my brain blocked with that word. Lucid dreaming.
Yeah.
Before I go into that, that's how I go into
everything.
Yeah. And see, Tom Springer, this is going to be part of but there's where I think I start my astral travel, and that's absolute.
A lot of people say it.
Yeah.
Right. Now, that's interesting. I want to talk about that in a minute. Remember, Dom, I was telling you about a case I could talk about a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah. So talking about the astral travel,
see that?
A lot of people don't realize, that have spirits or demons or whatever in their home, that a lot of times they're there because they called them in. Not even knowingly, playing with a Ouija board, you could do it. Everybody knows that. Doing a seance, but even things as far as meditating and astral projection and all those type of things, you can bring something in if you're looking for it without even realizing it. Because again, like especially a demon, they prey on more, I don't want to say weak-minded people, but people they know they could kind of break down and oppress. So we had a case. This girl contacted us. She was about 20, I think 22, 23. She lived in Boca. She said that she was doing astral projection. She was looking for her ex-boyfriend who was murdered, and she found him, and his demons attacked her, and now she has demons in the house. So, and she was pretty frightened. So we went over there. She lived with her family. They were real nice people. They accepted us in with no problem. We talked to them for hours. She was truly frightened. When we walked through that house, I felt nothing at first. Like the house was really like light and kind of welcoming, Walked in her room. It was like somebody was sitting on my shoulders. It was one of the strongest like energy levels I've ever felt. It was very strange. I don't, after, checking and just, a few things and spending some time there, I don't believe there's anything demonic. There was something going on in there. So we did cleanse it for her. And I did I actually went back I think 2 more times, just because she felt there was some residual, and I believe she was still doing astral projection. I was telling her, if this is how it came in and you keep doing it, you're just going to keep bringing it back. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter what I do, you know. But the interesting thing about this story, and she gave me permission to even use her video. I have it in some of my presentations I do, to kind of show people what we deal with, like the intensity level. Like, this girl was very intense. The
Sure.
first 20 minutes or so, I don't think she even blinked. She kind of scared me a little bit at first. And the thing was, when we were talking to her and asking her who this person was, and they said, oh, he was a bad guy, he sold his soul to the devil. And I'm going, he sold the soul to the devil, what did he sell it for, you know? And she
Yeah.
was saying fame, and I'm going, he was famous. And then after talking, we figured out who it was, and it was the rapper XXX Tentacion that got murdered in Fort Lauderdale a few years back. She wasn't the girlfriend at the time when he got killed, but she had been with him before. So she went looking for him, and she believed that she found him. I don't think she found him. I think she found something in there because she was looking for something, and something came back with her. So things like astral projection and stuff are good as long as you know what you're doing. It's kind of like I always said about a Ouija board. A Ouija board is a communication device like any device I use to investigate with. It's all about the person's intent and how they use it. You know, same thing with even meditating and astral projection. You know, you got to be careful and just make sure you're doing it right, and you know, make sure you're doing it for the right reasons.
I want to jump on this camera real quick. I know his father very well. This was all family growing up. I seen my dad in that state and felt light. Like he was light. I was sleeping but awake. Okay, so I believe in that state of sleep and that veil that opens. I believe that there is a possibility that we are connected to the other side.
Yeah.
You know, and I really believe that. And that's something that opens up too, because I want to, before I get into more, ignorance is dangerous when it comes to paranormal. That's very true. And Jason, we're going to get into that here in a moment. But something I wanted to bring up, Craig and I, we investigate. He is the other / of Boo Hunters as well. We had a lady with us that night. She helped us out in this house that we were investigating. We actually did things according to Ted Van Sund's book, Think Outside the Paranormal Box. So we did things without equipment. So we're going to actually transition. There it is right there. Think outside the paranormal box. Thank you for bringing that in, because I was going to get mine. I just
always prepared.
I think absolutely. I have that.
Well, awesome. That's awesome. So we did an investigation that night. Now, on the TikTok video that I have, there is a demonic growl in there, and we know it's there. Tom Springer, I believe. Yeah, Tom is the one that actually, you know, he did a walkthrough of the house too, virtually, and he felt something in the house as well. This night we had brought the girl over. I'm Bill. I'm telling you the story because I want your opinion on it, because we're still trying to figure it out too. Because I've been debunking it. I went in there because I do things kind of on the gray matter. I'm not religious, but if I need to, I will. I brought rosary beads in that night as well. And we'll get to that. But we got a demonic growl on there, which you can see on the TikTok video. We ignored the spirit after a while, and the entire place shut down, went on and shut down again, and went back on. We had called all the neighbors to make sure, you know, that there wasn't power outages, stuff like that. It only happened at the house. So once again, you know, we were all just kind of like going through the motions, debunking it, and the eyes on this girl changed. And the rosary beads were in her hand. And it was almost like riding a bicycle, the way she just kind of zipped it through her fingers. There was something more to that night. And to this day, she doesn't understand how to explain it. And as an investigator, I can't explain it to her. There's a possibility that there was a possession there, or some kind of what do you think?
Well, it's tough not being there, but from something like that, it's kind of touchy, because when you get, like I said, there's three stages of possession. There's the infestation, the oppression, and the actual possession. And the thing is, when you get to maybe it was in the the oppression stage, because when you get to the possession stage, it's really hard to get out. They don't just go away, So they could have been working on it. I find it. The only thing that tricks me up on it is the fact that she was holding rosary beads
out of nowhere. I mean, she just grabbed him, and her. If I could explain her eyes, that's the thing. Her eyes were the key that were not there anymore, and the way she did it, because it was too fast.
Right.
And then with no memory of it either.
Because if they were possessed, they're really not going to grab for rosary beads. They're not going to allow it most of the time. But like I said, she could have been in the oppression stage, and there could have been something there. But the eyes are a big thing. I mean, the girl I was telling you about, I don't believe there's a demon in the house. But at first, I was starting to question her because her eyes were pure black. Yeah. And she didn't blink for 20 minutes, when she was telling me her story at first. So, that's kind of tough. I mean, the eyes, in my opinion.
Go ahead.
I was going to say the eyes, in my opinion, it's a very big thing I look for, because it's one of the first things you notice.
She wasn't the same, like in that moment, and that's the thing. So yeah, at backstage, one night we'll talk about that, because I'd like to show you some of the footage we got too. But it was just I wanted to bring it up because one of the grave guys wanted me to bring it up as a question. I got it on my phone as a question to you about that night. So it's been thought about.
With possession.
Yeah.
Is it always something bad? I mean, I never hear of somebody getting possessed by a good,
by cancer.
It's always bad because again, I'm going on my education and experience. Possession is only done by demons. People think they could get possessed by a spirit. They're not possessed by a spirit. There may be a spirit in the house doing things, making things, but a possession is only done, in my experience, by a demon. And that's what I've learned over the years. A demon gets you to that point. Again, like I say, oppression can trick them, because infestation and oppression is a lot like a regular haunting. They may not know the difference, but it will start to try to control them. But then if it gets knocked away, or they cast it out, or whatever happens, they didn't get to the possession stage. So they weren't really possessed, but it may have been something demonic that was trying to get them. We tell people,
trying to groom them.
Yeah. One of the things we tell people when we first go in, if they're scared of something, we tell them this simple thing: tell it to get the hell out. You got to be stern with it. Don't give it the attention. Don't feed it. Let it know it's not welcome in your house. And a lot of times it will move on because it doesn't know. It doesn't know any better. I'm
going to send you the video footage that we have, Bill, and I want your opinion.
Okay.
From that night. There's a comment here. I'm only going to put it up briefly, but I want to say my condolences right there. And Tom, we're always their family, so I won't keep that there long. Bob, my mom, also showed their love there as well. We're going to go to Michelle. There's another question at the bottom from Jason, but let's go to Michelle. At the moment, several years ago, I returned home from my uncle's funeral. Just laying in bed, wanting to take a nap. I knew I was awake, but I couldn't move, and I felt really bad, like terrified. And I normally don't scare easy. I don't know what that was, but it was not friendly. All right, so there's another,
Well, again, if you came home from your uncle's funeral, it's possible. If possible, it was him. It's possible that it felt terrifying to you, didn't feel friendly because maybe it just was misunderstood. I'm gonna go back to something I said in the first show that has to do with this, and something else that was talked about before about visiting you in your dreams and things like that. Like I said the first time, one of the main things I remember from when I was younger, I wasn't real young, but one of the things that made me really believe was my grandmother. I don't know if you remember me telling this story, Dom. My grandmother, who I was very close to, and I lived in the house with her, she had gotten sick with cancer. I knew she was sick, but I didn't expect I didn't expect her to go that soon as she did. And I remember I was upstairs in my room. I fell asleep, and I was asleep. I wasn't, I wasn't in any kind of state. I was asleep, and I remember seeing her all of a sudden out of nowhere. She came up to me. She came up. She hugged me. She said goodbye. She said everything is going to be okay. And I was like totally freaking out. I was crying. I was freaking out in my dream. I said, I didn't know what was going on. And then I woke up to my mother waking me up and telling me that my grandmother just died downstairs.
Wow.
So can that happen? I fully believe it. There's nobody that could tell me any different to that. I don't believe everybody could come visit you and you could contact everybody, but that was something that I will never forget.
And to add to this, from when we first spoke to, when she says when she returned from her uncle's funeral, I'm assuming it was at the funeral parlor. One of my first exorcisms that I went through was because the lady caught something from a hospital. There's always that possibility that there's an attachment there too, right? Whether demonic or a
Sure.
traveling spirit. It could be even that.
It could have just followed you home and then just moved on. You
Right.
might have felt it that one time and it just left, going, okay, I'm not really welcome here. It didn't feel welcome, and it moved on.
Right.
Possible.
So I mean, there's a lot of possibilities there. Let's go into Jason. His question: is there a difference between channeling a spirit and possessed by a demon? I would say yes. There's absolutely a difference.
Yeah. If you're channeling a spirit, if you're a medium or somebody who's trying to channel the spirit, yeah, they're kind of taking on the medium's body in a way and talking through them, but they're not there to harm them. Where
Yeah.
a demon, they only have one thing: it's to harm people or make you harm somebody. So there's actually a very big difference between it.
And Patricia, absolutely many experiences with family members. It has been my experience. Family member hang out for a few weeks that they're making sure you're okay. I believe that too. I've heard things within my family and friends, that people come in and out just to make sure you're okay.
I'll tell you something funny that on like we were talking about before, what's the hardest things and everything, and I was saying about people that don't believe and don't understand. They won't, not that they don't believe, but they won't accept your answers.
Mm-hmm.
I've mentioned this too before. I'm in a lot of Facebook groups. A lot of them are paranormal, some of them are horror related, and I honestly spend a lot of time in them, and I do it the same thing I'm doing residential. I do it to go in and help people. A lot of people do have genuine questions. They post up a picture, and again, they're a little warped from watching too many shows and stuff, and even movies and everything, and they think every little dust particle is an orb and a spirit and a demon,
Right.
and but I go in and I'm not one of these people that come in and say, no, you're stupid, that's a piece of dust. I go in and I explain to them why it is what it is and how it's caused, and I educate them on it. But we deal with a lot of backlash from that. And I believe, if I'm right, I believe the girl that was just up there, Michelle, I believe she was just from a group, because I sent her a link that I was in. It's a horror group, and that somebody asked about exorcisms. And I put on there, because they weren't sure if they were actually real or whatever, and I put a whole long explanation, a true explanation of what they are and how they are. And oh my God, was I getting bashed by people. Everybody, it was a horror group, so it wasn't a paranormal group, but everybody in there was going crazy about that. There's no such thing. It's all the religious thing. And oh my God. I try to be professional.
Said, yep, that's her.
She knows I was getting totally destroyed in there by so many people. I laugh at it. It doesn't bother me, but
I'll bring this comment up from Tom. This looks like it's piggybacking on Patricia at the moment. I said, I believe my mom has spoken with me a few times to make sure I'm okay with her passing and confirming she's in a better place and happy. Indeed. Much love, my brother.
Sometimes that's why they are hanging around a bit. They want to tell somebody they're okay, or let them know something. Maybe sometimes they don't even realize how long they've been there. That's why they're in a house now that it's not their family anymore, and that's where you go back to the residual stuff. They sometimes they're just there they want somebody to know that they're okay, and they until you help them move on or cleanse them out, they don't leave. They're not going to harm you.
All right, so let's go into we had dusted around this subject a little bit tonight. Equipment, Tom, you know about this subject as well. Equipment wise, going into one of these investigations, there's a couple things that are my go-tos anymore. Okay, so Patricia, this is on point too. I was actually going to start bringing this up here. She says even pets have to stay around for a while. I was actually going to start bringing this up with animals. So it's funny you said that. Some of the things, my newer investigation tools, I love the Scry Mirror. However, though, dogs, animals in general have been my new investigation tools. EVP is one of my go-tos. What are some things that your go-tos?
Well, when I'm doing residentials, my go-tos are always
we're gonna get to you, Bob.
Audio and video in a home, honestly, is the best thing. Sometimes I'll use a little EMF if I'm testing to see if there's like strong signals coming from somewhere, not really to look for a spirit, more to see if they have some kind of problem in their wiring,
some kind of fear cage or something.
Yeah, more like that, not just going around going, oh, I got a spike, there's somebody here. Audio and video, and honestly, me and teammates, our empath abilities to sense them. Those are honestly all my go-to things in a house. I might bring in an EDI that does temperature changes and vibrations and anything scientific like that. I may bring out a little bit, just for a basic investigation in the house. That's all I'll use. When we go out on a public investigation, I got 60 cases of equipment here, everything you can think of, and we have fun with. And you know what it is, though? It's used a lot. We use it a lot. I like to use it all because I want to see what it produces. You know
what? It's smart to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, you have your go-tos. I mean, if you even use the REM pod stuff, things like I could care less about. I mean, use it all just to utilize it and see what you can actually debunk. I have
like 40, at least 40 different audio recorders. I have ones with cassettes in them still. And
that's the way to go.
Yeah, they're great. They're great when you have multiple stuff. It's great to sit there and have 4 different recorders going off at once to see if I caught something on here and it's not on anything else. I'm not sure I'm going to believe it 100%. If I caught it on 4 different things at once, like I usually have, this is a Fitbit, but I have the one from the Ghost Stop that is an EVP recorder. It just looks just like the Fitbit. And I leave that running through a whole investigation, public, private, whatever. And then on my camera, I have a task cam. And then we have burst recorders. And I leave some of them running the whole investigations, and some of them we use on and off. I'll use one in each hand, sometimes more public, but sometimes to just test a lot of stuff, the Ovilus. I have an Ovilus 5.
So before you bring that up, we're going to go back to Bob's question, but there it is. Our Tom says our go-to seems to be the Ovilus. So there you go.
Yeah. The Ovilus, the thing with it is it's if nobody knows what it is, a little device that you can manipulate the energy and it will spit out words onto the screen. You've probably seen it on a million shows, and it will randomly spit out words for no reason that have nothing to do with anything. It's pulling in energy, so it can manipulate things and give false readings. But when you are talking about something specific and it's popping up names, like we did an investigation down at it's a place called Flamingo Gardens down in Davie. One of my team members works there. It's like a little zoo. And at night we were able to go in and do some investigations because they have a lot of history of the Indians there and everything. So the house, that's like a museum, we were able to go inside, and I had the Ovilus out. One of my team members was asking, because there was a record player right there, and he was saying, it's all the original stuff from the house. and he was saying, "Oh, do you listen to music? What type of music do you like? You know, things like that." Just trying to get them to interact. And the Ovilus spit out Edison. Pretty random word, and then we looked up at the record player, and I have a picture of them together. The record player, the brand name of the record player was Edison.
Wow.
To me, that's it's not like they said hello. It's pretty random word that spit out. Nobody said Edison. We didn't even realize it was there until we looked up at it. I got a good picture of it sitting in front of it.
All right, well, hold your thought there before we get too far into it. Let's go back to a question from Bob. So when spirits move on, where do they go, and can they come back if they want to? So Bill, go ahead and answer that, and then Tom, answer that as well, and I'm going to throw my point of view in this one too.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, it is a tough one. So let's get 3 point of views here.
It's where they go and can they come back kind of depends on them. If we push them out of a house, did we convince them to move on? You don't know. I mean, obviously you'll never know unless they were talking to you, but most of the time I want to believe that they do go on, because unless they come back in the house, I mean, I've had very few times, but things have reoccurred in the house. Is it the same thing coming back? I believe so at times. I don't know if they could always just leave and come back, but if they haven't moved on, they may be just hanging around being quiet, not really have left yet. But where they go, it kind of depends. I mean, if you push them out of the house and they still don't realize that they need to move on, they may just wander down the block. They're going to go off somewhere else. It's trying to convince them to move on somewhere else and let them know that they're okay and to go.
Tom, your point of view.
Well, having had very, very limited experiences myself, and it's only been audio experiences that I've had. And Dom, you heard the one on my live feed when I was over at the garden. It could have been a kid yelling "mom," but to me it did sound like Tom, and it made me turn around. But it's hard for me to say that there is definitive proof for me, due to lack of experience, that they're actually even around. I mean, I want to believe that they are. I've always been interested in the paranormal and everything in the related fields and everything. So I'd have to think that. I mean, is there a definitive place that we all end up? I don't think we're ever going to know until we're there.
Right.
Or maybe we just roam around forever. I mean, who knows? Some of us have more power than others to manipulate this realm. I mean, it's really hard to say if they're even here. You know what I mean? Like, again, because I've had limited experience with it, but I would have to think that if they move on, that chances are more likely that they're just moving on to a different place, bothering somebody else. If it's a case where they were trying to get this spirit out to move on from the house or whatever.
Now, I think it's a very spiderwebbed question. Tom Springer he's going to say, I'll throw in my 2 cents here. I was told by a friend that they go to what is known as heaven, but the heaven they go to is what they desire it to be, not just the biblical belief of heaven. Now, see, that's what a lot of, that's what you make use of your heaven. But let's go back to the question. Let's put it back up.
We won't talk about what mine's going to be then.
Yeah. So let's first move on. They go. I say that's a spiderweb question, right? So if you really want to dig into this one, so when spirits move on, what if this is the possibility that they do move on, and that's where reincarnation happens, into another life, right? So the answer is we really don't know where they go. That's the biggest part of being a paranormal investigator, is you're there to help, but we also are looking for the knowledge of this. Now, me personally, I don't think a spirit ever leaves a house. I think they just kind of go dormant. I think there's always the possibility that it comes back, and you could always technically conjure it back if needed, or conjure something in there. That's my personal thought of this. But like I said, whatever aspect you think of it, like you could bring, like I said, reincarnation in this. You could say that they went to that heaven, as Tom Springer had said, that they go to that place, that they're finally free, they're finally happy. But it depends on what else you think of heaven as well. Tom, go ahead. You were about to say something there.
What to me?
I was going
Bill.
to say, also, again, I've learned a lot about energy and a lot of stuff that is what we call residual. Sometimes, let's say you have a spirit in your house and we get them out. And then all of a sudden, a month later, you start hearing the same things, feeling the same things in the house. There's footsteps, there's things. Sometimes that's not actually the spirit. It's the residual energy that's been footprint, like a footprint in the universe.
It's like a record player just rolling. That's the way it was brought up to me. That's how I was taught.
Exactly.
We're gonna move on from that. We're gonna go on to Jason with his question. We're gonna say Craig Knapp. He says we have a lot of stuff on audio. Absolutely. Him and I, our go-to is EVP. So we're gonna definitely share that to the world with Boo Hunters. Go ahead, Bill.
No, I was just going to say with EVP, it is the best evidence, I feel, because, again, you have to have it in a controlled environment. If you're in the middle of a house that's, say an apartment with a bunch of noisy people around you, it's kind of tough. But when you have a little old burst recorder and you capture a voice coming through there, it's pretty hard to debunk that if nobody has made a sound in that room. It's not like those recorders, some of them that I have, you can't even take them off of there onto your computer to modify them. It's not like it's something that you could pull in with video and enhance it and do things. It's just a pure audio, and you're not hearing it with your ears, but yet it comes on there. So to me, that's definitely the go-to.
Craig and I mean, we have some stuff. I mean, we literally but we debunk it as we go. And Bob's saying something about EVPs as well too. I mean, we debunk it as we go. I mean, we sit there and we reanalyze and we do it over and over again to make sure that our what we have is on point. All right, so Jason, do you buy your equipment or you build it yourself? So this is a thing about equipment right here. With Ted's book, we're gonna bring it back up. You could actually have a great investigation with a lot what's in that book. I mean, really, just the most natural, the most natural stuff around you. I mean, ribbons, bells on cabinets. And this comes back to the EVP recorder and video, where you're gonna hear those bells and stuff. I mean, you can't really make that up, and there it is. So, Bill, as a guest, answer that question for Jason as well.
Sure. I buy the equipment, and I mean, of course, you building it kind of like what you were saying, Dom, putting a bell on something, things like that. Yeah, you could create things like that, but most of the equipment I use, I buy it, and the reason, I mean, I'm an IT guy, so could I make stuff? Probably, but I don't have the knowledge for that type of technology to know if I would be building it correctly.
Sure.
Like I use a lot of stuff from the Ghost Stop in Orlando. Well, they're not in Orlando; they're in Kissimmee, I think now, or St. Cloud. And the reason I like their stuff is because they are investigators, and they took some of the basic things we use and made it better. So, like a spirit box. They have one that has a built-in speaker and has an SD card built into it, so you can record. That is great. You don't need an extra recorder next to it. You don't need a plug-in speaker. Those type of things. Those are really, really good, things. But I mostly buy the stuff.
Craig says Emma there's significance in this. So we're going to go down to Dustin and then Bob, but also Bob says before Craig before Emma, EVPs are my favorite form of paranormal. Yeah, mine as well, Bob. I mean, it's just kind of that's pretty like standard.
Yeah,
I mean, it's the way to go because it's live and you listen back and you listen behind everything as well, just kind of like the spirit box. You kind of listen behind everything. And Craig and I are actually building the portal here soon. We talked about that last time, Bill.
Yeah.
Going into Emma, him and I actually did a spirit box session after we did a little bit of the grave guys. We did a whole cleaning in the cemeteries. So what we do with the grave guys, just to get this out there, grave underscore guys on TikTok, we go in there and clean military graves, old graves, 1800s, military, Freemason, Civil War style, and we go back there and polish the graves up. and we post the videos on there. Just clean them up and make sure that their memory is never forgotten. It's just the right thing to do. Just being a paranormal investigator as well, and being a human being, just to let those grounds always stay clean. So Craig and I, we go in there and we clean all the graves up. So it's amazing, and it makes you feel good at the end of the day, because you get to see a little bit of the work. So I'll share that with you as well. But yeah, we had caught on a spirit box. We were next to a grave, and the spirit box literally said Emma, and that was the name on the grave. And we have that on audio, so I'll send that to you as well. Now, Dustin is the off the cuff. He goes, I'm a spiritual guy. I am a Christian. One of the things that always struck me as odd is when you get put under anesthesia, you're gone. You remember nothing until you're woken up. Now,
keeps going too.
Yeah, it says, all right, good call in there, Tom. Also seems like the lights just go out. And then the final question with this is, could that really be what happens when you die? Do the lights just go out? You know what? That's the scariest part of this shit. And that's where the parental advisor comes in. I sure hope not. And that's the scariest shit in the world. If this is it, it's it. And then like
that scares the shit out of me.
Just
that thought.
I've been lucky. I've never been under anesthesia.
Yeah.
So I can't really comment on how it feels and what, but I know kind of what they say, but I hope not too. I have to agree with that.
And we're going to go back to Patricia too. And Tom Springer says, thank you for doing that. We do it because we love it. And Ashley has our link there. But you know what? I can almost, Dustin, you're listening. What I would say to this is, doing so much paranormal investigating, I am 100% confident that once the lights go out, there's something more. And when I did the near-death experience show, I actually because of my beliefs, I actually started believing a little bit into more religion and appreciating more of it, knowing that there's something more. Because these people who have never met each other in these interviews almost had the same story. And once it keeps being consistent the way it was, how can they lie about almost the same scenario and never met? So it makes me open my eyes more. So yeah, Dustin, I would be very confident that there's more to this than the lights just going out. And if I'm wrong, it sucks.
Yeah, it does.
Patricia had said, interesting. I have had quite a few surgeries, and that is true. You just go, oh Christ. You just go out and then wake up. Never thought of that before I've died, but yeah. Patricia, piggybacking on Dustin's right there, I would definitely say that there's more. And then just hearing your story alone, you're one of the ones that actually made me believe more, on top of Joan Carter as well. With the other people. So yeah, I would hope there's more. Yeah, Dustin, it is. It's interesting. It is a compelling argument. And that's the whole point of like paranormal investigation as well. I mean, we're still learning, but I mean, Bill, let me ask you a question about this too, since it's, this is an interesting and compelling subject.
Yeah.
Do you do some of this to answer possibly your own death of where we're going?
I mean, yeah, I guess indirectly. I'm not specifically looking for, but yeah, just knowing more. I want to know more. There's no definitive proof out there of anything, with this. So yeah, you like to go out and learn as much as you can and try to see what you think is going to happen. I don't like to try to think about it too much, but
sure.
You also, it's always going to be in your head. What's out there? What's going to happen? And, like if can we choose to come back? Because I know some people I'm going after, But I know some people I'm going to bother.
It's a trip we're all going to have to take at some point. Like that gentleman on the wall behind Dom said, no one here gets out alive.
Yeah. We're riders on the storm, baby. No, it's just one of those things, I've become no longer scared of death because of actually doing these shows. I used to have panic attacks thinking about it. One day I'm not going to be here, that there's just going to be blackness. Not that I still don't have panic attacks, they're just over other things now. But it's just one of those things. I'm not afraid of death anymore because I know like I'm going to be one with the universe. I really do. And I'm going to haunt some house. Monica, what's happening? Because I want you guys to find me. I want all you guys to find me if I die. Lisa, what's happening?
I know her. What was I going to say? I heard not too long ago, it was an interview with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and they had asked him about if he was afraid of dying. And he said, no, because I'm pissed. That's what he said. He goes, I'm pissed. He goes, I have a good life. I have everything. I'm pissed. It's just going to end.
Bob is commenting in. Let's see this. It looks like my mom is too. And then Dustin right after it. I had a heart attack and was dead for about 18 minutes on and off. They went through 7 different batteries on charger. Had burn marks on my chest. I do not remember a thing though. I know ghosts exist. See, that's a thing too. All right, so he don't remember anything there. But no, ghosts exist. I'm almost on the same plane as Bob by saying I know they exist too.
Right.
And I'm confident that there's more.
Yeah, and I think everybody has different experiences. I mean, if you grabbed 100 people that all had a situation like that where they died for 18 minutes or something on and off, everyone is going to give you, you're going to hear similar stories, but there's going to be a couple different ones. I don't remember anything, or I remember this. So everybody doesn't go through that exact same thing at that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So let's go to, my mom has something to say here too. Let's go to that. We'll get right back to Dustin. Hold on. Let's see what she said. Last surgery I had, they couldn't wake me for 3 hours. I could hear everything they were saying, seen a bright light, but could not move a thing. Very scary. Now, the bright light also could have been, part of the surgical lights in there. This is my mom speaking right now. So we could debunk it right now. And then we also could say she had an experience. This is part of what we do. Was the lights part of the, the room? I'll let her throw an answer in here. But at the same time, I know my mom. She's very spiritual. She's an empath as well. I'm sure she had felt something there. But who knows what it could have been? But that's one of her stories right there.
She could have been in between that stage too, awake, asleep.
Yeah. Tom's laughing right now because we have our we have a BB3 member in here a little bit. We haven't seen you in a long time. We missed you. All right, so we're gonna go back up a little bit. We're gonna go back up to Dustin. Dustin, I have absolutely no fear of dying at all. Some days I think I'd welcome it. At the same time, I think we all kind of do, and you gotta come to that peace. And it just kind of is what it is, without being crazy about it. Craig Knapp, here a brain teacher. How you're not dead already? It's one of those things I think every day. What if we died all the time? Yeah, what if we died a long time ago? Let's go into see. My mom's commenting on that right now, but Tom says, "Gotta go, guys. Sorry to have to take off. Good conversation tonight." Tom, absolutely. Much love, brother, and we'll see you at BB3 TV. His show starts in December.
Yeah, I'll talk to him again.
Show. Absolutely. Oh, you'll 100% be part of this. All right, so let's go down to it. Patricia. She says, I was in a recovery room and they were all saying I was in a coma. So, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. You might have been in a coma, but who knows what you saw? I can't answer that in a professional way. Yes, I had a dream with my father who had passed. Yeah,
that was in response to Marie Arthur, which was right under your mom.
Where's that at? Okay,
right underneath where your mom was.
Wait, Marie Arthur is my mother.
Ah,
whoa. Can spirits come to us in our dreams? Okay, so there's all right, Tom. Thank you for catching that. Maria, how are you? Marie,
I pay attention sometimes.
Yeah, that's my mother. Now, I'm gonna say something with her is that, I've been doing this for a long time. She doesn't truly believe, and okay. I always say, now with the story I told before about my grandmother was her mother. And I truly believe that she doesn't believe 100% because she believes that if they could come and talk to us, my grandmother would be talking to her. And that's why she's asking. They can come in your dreams. They definitely can come in your dreams. There's no, there's no way to truly prove it. But in the experiences I've had and the people I've encountered and the experiences they've had, absolutely, they could come in your dreams.
Well, what about in symbols too? Because when my grandmother had passed, we had seen nickels. She always told me to don't take any wooden nickels. We had seen them everywhere. I've seen symbols everywhere. Bobby, what's happening? He's there. Another good brother right there. I think, to answer your mom's question, I would say they come in dreams, but also symbols too. Look out for that. Look for smells, maybe in the air of passing spirits. I mean,
they say dimes, nickels, certain birds and butterflies, and there's a lot of things that people believe, and some of them are hard to go against. When a certain bird shows up in an area where it's not supposed to be there ever, or you know what I mean. There's a lot of little things that definitely are out there.
So Monica is putting in here. Monica, it's great to see you again on here. Sometimes you can have that experience without almost dying. Your soul knows it before you do. It just brings inner peace along, almost like missing a loved one and seeing them again. Absolutely. I mean, that's just that's technically self-explanatory right there. It's like almost having a missing loved one. Yeah, for sure. That's seeing them again in the dreams and everything. I mean, I see dead friends in my dreams all the time. I really do. I'm grateful to see them. I almost feel like it's another hangout. I remember my friend Angel when she died. I see her. I see my friend Carson. Going through the list of people. I see them all the time.
Yeah.
And, little memories. It's just one of these type of things.
I get asked that question a lot. And the thing is that that you have two things. Can they come to you? I believe they can. But sometimes you're also reliving certain memories in your head that you're gonna dream about people. I mean, you dream about people who are alive, so there's definitely both sides to it. But I definitely believe they'll come in some of your dreams.
I believe it. But, so let's look at this one too. Bob said, I was gifted with a glass with a seahorse on it. Just showed up at my cabinet one day. See, that's the things. That's the symbols, like I was talking about. You notice things. And Patricia is saying this, maybe, but sometimes a dream is a dream, not a message. You have to be careful.
Exactly.
A little bit.
It is. Sometimes it is just a dream.
A little bit. Okay. But it is always a dream. Little bit's always in there. She's always got our back. So we all blow her a kiss. But sometimes a dream is a dream and not a message. You have to be careful. Yeah, you know what? You're right about that too. A topic off the top of my head, like a subject to think about that. It wouldn't make really sense to even bring that up, but sometimes a dream is a dream and not a message. You have to be careful. Yeah. Well, how you feel about that, Bill? I believe there are messages.
Yeah, there definitely are messages, but sometimes, like I was saying, sometimes you're having a dream. I mean, you've had, if it's somebody that passed on, you've had experiences with them before. They're in your memories. When you go into a dream, a lot of things from your dream, in your dreams pop in that are memories. So it can be, you have to be careful not to interpret everything as a message.
And then V says here too, they can't talk to you. They can't talk to you in your dreams. Meditation is a very good gate to open the dreams. I believe in that 100%. Meditation is the way. Matter of fact, meditation is the way to go with a lot of things other than just paranormal. Just pure relaxation, just to let off anxieties in the natural form of life itself. So
I've never been a big meditator, but she yells at me all the time. She wants me to meditate.
I've had tons of dreams about family members and friends and everything that have passed. I can't ever remember one single message coming through in any of them. Yeah, it was always just like they were there. Like they were supposed to be there, or it took me off guard. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're not supposed to be here.
Right.
I mean, just like regular conversations.
that's what I was saying. The one with my grandmother was different because she actually came in and said goodbye and hugged me, said everything's going to be okay, you know. But a lot of times that I have dreams with people, you know, that aren't here anymore, and yeah, I wouldn't say I had direct messages from them. There may have been something I didn't notice, but yeah,
I mean, I felt love when I
yeah,
woke up
sure.
with some of
I,
them.
you know, I,
Some of them are
believe you
hauntings.
experienced something back then, Tom.
What was that, Dom?
Let's see. I believe, I would assume you felt something there too, or perhaps it's
Yeah.
just a human condition we seem to have to reconcile everything. I mean, maybe, Dustin. I mean, it's just kind of one of those things, and you know, Monica says the closest thing you get. You know, it's. I guess anything within this nature is brought up for debate. But it's just one of those things. I want to say that they're there.
Yeah.
And I want to say that we are in that meditative state because we're away from the world. We're going into a relaxed state, supposedly, and maybe that's when they could come through. So, Patricia said she's got to go. It was a great show. You know, with that, it has been a great show, and Bill,
Yeah.
You're just one amazing guest.
Thank you.
And I constantly want to keep having you with me. And I want you to be a part of this team, even if you're not a BB3 in the future. I want you to just keep coming back and
Sure.
sharing your stories with us. We are going to actually call it on that if you're good with that. We're actually an hour and 46 minutes.
Longest
Yeah.
show you and I have ever done together outside of the game night.
That's because you haven't been on with me. I could talk to you guys for hours. You have no idea.
I love it.
It's fun.
But you know what, Dustin? It's cool, and you know what? That's the way to be. That keeps us on our toes, and we get to learn as we push forward and get to answer questions, you know, like this that you bring up. So it's better that this is brought up to us as researchers, investigators, you know, because we want to share knowledge with people. And answer their questions the best we can. So this is something that it puts us on our toes. So thank you, Dustin, for bringing all this up. Michelle, let's see. This was really interesting. Thank you so much for sharing it with me. Absolutely, Michelle, and please come back. We'll be back on a Monday night on WLFE-TV and also BB3 TV. So come to BB3 TV and watch. 8:30 at night on a Thursday as well. And Bob is right there. He said, really enjoy the show. Thank you all. Look forward to the next one. Absolutely, Bob. Bob, thank you for everything you do. Bob shares all of us.
Bob's awesome.
He's just one amazing individual, and we appreciate and notice everything you do, Bob. And thank you for interacting with myself throughout all of my shows and being a part of this. And thank you for interacting with my guests tonight as well. We truly appreciate it.
I just want to bring up one thing real quick.
Sure.
So like the girl Michelle. See, to me, that's great because I go in these groups to help people, and that was actually a horror group, wasn't even a paranormal group. And she had put a post saying that she wanted to learn some more and stuff, and I was able to give her this to get her on and listen and learn a little more. Even if it's one person who came off of that, at least came on and learned a little more from everything.
Absolutely.
Yes, and now they should go like the BB3 TV Facebook page.
Yeah. And that's what we're going to start doing. Ashley, good night, my friend. I'll see you. She does so much for us, for the Grave Guys and Boo Hunters. Going to give her a special shout out right there. That's family for sure. She has our back. We love it. Let's see, Bob. Dom, get in touch with you tomorrow. Absolutely, I have time, Bob. I will get in touch with you 100%, fam. Bill Burnell, this Bill was a great guest. Absolutely, and Bill will be back. Dustin says, great show, fellas. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Hey, you know what, Dustin? Thank you for that. That means a lot because this Dustin has one great show too, Off the Cuff. Everyone go check it out on BB3 TV and also WLFE-DB. He is just one amazing personality as well, and I would always call him a brother.
Hey Dom, I just wanted to mention if anybody's interested, in January the 21st to the 23rd, we're going to be in Orlando at VillaCon. We're a guest at VillaCon. I'm not sure how many panels we're going to have, but we'll have our booth there with all our equipment and talking to everybody. And so that one's already been confirmed.
Sure. I'll definitely be there, as I told you on the phone last night. So let's do that. And then we'll maybe do a live there too. We'll just do one live in person together.
Sure.
It don't matter what we do. I mean, we could technically do what we want, but yeah, we'll make it happen. But Bill, at this time, I want to do this. I do this for everyone because Tom and I are going to end the show, and we're going to talk about a little bit of BB3, and then
Sure.
what Tom has coming up and what I have coming up. But I want, even though it's going across the bottom of the screen, I want to give you the opportunity to tell everyone with your voice how to get a hold of you and what you have coming up next, my brother.
All right. So our website is P.E.R.S. FL, so PERSFL.com. And we have pretty much everything on there. We even have an events section on there. Or if you go to Facebook, the same thing, PERSFL. Instagram is Paranormal Existence. TikTok, I just started as Paranormal Existence. You could contact us. There is an 800 number, but you could also use 954-770-0169. You could email me. You could contact us in any way. If anybody has, needs any help or even has any questions or anything, I'm always available. And right now, the only thing we have totally scheduled is VillaCon in January. I think it's the 21st to the 23rd. And I'll be letting. We have a lot of other things probably coming up next year, but I'm not sure yet of the dates.
Well, let's yeah. All right, Bill. Well, anytime you have those dates, you let me know, and
Sure.
We'll start posting them on our website, the BB3. Tom and I are back fully now, so we're going to be doing a lot as far as promoting investigators, a lot of businesses, stuff like that. So anything you got coming up, you personally let us know. You message Tom or myself, and I'll get it to Tom if you message me, and then Tom will put it all on there.
I'll let you know how it's going with the two books I'm writing too. I'm hoping to get them done pretty soon. And what they are is, look, I know you were holding up the book before. I have 1 million books back here on just about every book you could get on the paranormal. I always read and always learn. I'm doing 2 books at the same time. I don't know what I'm doing.
That's my nickname, 2 books.
But I'm doing 2. So I'm doing one that's strictly on public investigations and one that's all about residentials and how to do them accurately.
I couldn't hold that in. I tried.
I know, because that's been my nickname, 2 books.
That was his nickname for quite a while because he wrote 2 books.
Okay.
We just called him 2 books.
I don't know why I decided to do them together. I couldn't.
Even Jason knew that one. I love it. But Bill, once you get those books going, let's get that going. I mean, once you get the documentary out or the TV shows you're working on, we're talking about, we'll get you back on for all that. And just keep pushing you forward because you're an individual that that needs to just keep being pushed out. You are.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
One solid guy, my friend.
Thank you. And I'm feel the same about you guys. Come on anytime.
I appreciate that. And thank you for being a part of BB3 tonight. From this point, I'm gonna pull you down to the bottom as you know, and then we'll do a quick backstage. So Bill, thank you for being here, and we'll catch you another night.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. All right. So we got it. I know, the 2 book club. All right. So we did it, brother. We're back.
Yeah. And we did a long one.
Yep. We're almost at 2 hours. We had a lot of great people in here. It's great to see a little bit again. Monica, Dustin, everybody.
And yes, Dustin. Yes.
Yes. Let's actually bring that up. So it's known for people who are going to watch. So Dustin, off the cuff, not this Saturday, but the following. How about we do a BB3 TV gathering on my show Saturday night at 8 p.m. an open panel discussion about BB3 hosts. That's among BB3 hosts. That's for sure. So let's make that happen off the cuff.
Definitely.
Monica says about time. I know it's been a while. I've missed it, and I wanted to personally say, the reach out was amazing.
Mostly everybody missed my face, is what it was.
Indeed. And we're coming back to down to Tom's World, but I do want to show my appreciation to everyone that's reached out to me and said that you've been missed, and we wanted your show to come back, and you know what, I'm back, and we're back for good now. And BB3 TV, we're bringing in hosts, Azriel, we got perspectives from the parking lot, we got off the cuff. We still have the Paranormal Brew, Witchwood is still with us, and we also have Tom's World. Tom, hit it.
Yes, I've been. If you haven't noticed, I have been posting up my videos that I've been doing on YouTube. I've been putting them on the BB3 stream of comments. Not a whole lot of people have interacted with them, but that's okay. I know some of you still click on them because I do see the activity in the back analytics and everything like that. But basically, if you haven't checked any of them out, go check out the channel. YouTube.com/This Is Tom's World, all one word, no punctuation, no spaces, no dashes, no nothing. I go around and I check out wooded areas. Preferably things that had something in there. Like my latest video, I was in a wooded area looking for an old amusement park that was made in 1876, went till the 1930s, looking for any evidence of it. And spoiler alert, I found some stuff. So you want to go check that out. I didn't find a whole lot, but still, it's cool to find anything from, since the 1930s, really? I mean, come on, almost 100 years, and there's still stuff there. But all my videos are awesome. Check out all the videos about the garden that me and the other volunteers have been working on for the last year. We're restoring. It's from, it's also from about 100 years ago. Yeah, we got some Blair Witch shit going on. Maybe, maybe I'll do one that's like kind of involved like that. Get down in the camera and like she did in that one scene, have the tears coming down.
We had a good time in your garden.
We did. Yeah, you can find those videos here on BB3 too. We were a little involved in some adult beverages that night.
It was a good time, man. I jumped in a hole. Yeah, it was a good time. But Real Talk with Dom is back on a Monday and Thursday night. But most importantly, too, with variety, as we always call it, Dom and Tom's World is back as well.
Yep. Haven't decided on the frequency yet, but we are back.
Yeah, it most likely will be on a Friday night, but tomorrow night we have Savage Ladies of Metal.
Yes.
So we'll be running that tomorrow night. I'll be running
their guest freak show.
Freak show tomorrow night. So tune into that. We'll be posting that all day tomorrow, and yeah, check out the Savage Ladies of Metal tomorrow night on BB3 TV. Tom.
Yes.
My brother. Let's do this. Hey, Tom.
Hey, Tom.
Cheers.
Cheers. I feel like Genevieve.
Who? Welcome back to BB3 TV. Later.
See y'all.